'Cause I'm like, you know what? If this is what alcohol drinking look like, child, I don't want it.
Melanie P.
Scary.
Talk
That's
to him.
scary with Melanie P. That's scary with Melanie P. Come on. Here we go.
Welcome to another episode of the That's Scary with Melanie P podcast. I'm your girl, Melanie P, and we are here to discuss the Wendy Williams documentary, y'all. So I know you've seen this documentary, and I want to hear your thoughts, and I want you to hear mine, and I want to see if we are aligned on our takeaway. So, Wendy Williams dropped a 4-part documentary over the weekend, and I will tell you, upon my initial view of this documentary, I was like, what the hell? Why has she dropped a documentary showing herself in the worst light, right? That was my first thought. As the episodes went on, I left the documentary feeling optimistic and feeling rather excited. And here are my thoughts before I get started. Okay. So we all know that she had a documentary that was really, really crazy. She looked crazy. It looked crazy. It was giving very much unhinged. It was giving very much, I'm losing it if I haven't already lost it. But if you stayed with the documentary until the very last episode, my take is that Wendy is setting us up. And I'm going to tell you why I believe that. So in the very last episode of the documentary, Wendy's sister was on the documentary, and she, to me, alluded to the fact that Wendy had been in a recovery center or some type of drug center for the past at least at minimum 7 months, and that she was sounding like the old Wendy. And something in me believes that Wendy has set us all up. Wendy is using this documentary to come back. I feel like she's using this documentary to come back. I think we looked through all the episodes and was like, what the hell? Who would air this for public consumption? But I feel as though Wendy is intentionally dropping this documentary because sometime this year, maybe the beginning of next year, she's going to come back to us like she never left. Now, I know this might sound like far-fetched, but when it happens, make sure you guys refer back to this video. The same way that I told Meg Thee Stallion what to do, she did it and she popped off. I really feel like this is a setup. I feel like this is a setup to, one, show how the court system fails people as far as when it comes to conservatorship and guardians, and two, a setup for her podcast that's coming. So anyway, I know y'all might not agree. If you agree or if you don't agree, comment. But if you agree and if you caught that, let me know. So Wendy Williams had a 4-part documentary on Lifetime, and the first thing that I thought when I started watching this documentary is, okay, this is called Where is Wendy Williams? And the shade began before she uttered one word, because it's like, okay, at first I was like, where's Wendy Williams? Okay, cool. They're just saying that because, she's been MIA, and, we're all curious as to where Wendy Williams is. But as I continue to watch the documentary, I think it was giving, where the hell is Wendy? Because she don't even know where she is. And I'm like, damn, this is shady. This title in itself is very, very shady. My second thought when I first started watching it was, a lot of people have said that they feel like this is karma for all the negative things she said about people in the past. Now, I don't believe that. I don't know if I don't believe that because I don't want to believe that, but I just don't believe that to be the case. I just think it's just the alcohol and the cocaine and the drug use is what has brought her to this situation. I don't want to believe it's karma, but what I did ask myself was, if this had been another celebrity talk show host, and if Wendy was still in the same Wendy headspace that she was in before she left the Wendy Williams show, how would Wendy report on this celebrity? So again, close your eyes and ask this question. If Wendy Williams was still actually on the Wendy Williams show, reporting all the celebrity gossip and the celebrity news, and this was happening to her now, was happening to some other celebrity, and there was a documentary like this with some other celebrity, how would Wendy Williams report on this documentary, right? I want to start off with the Guardian, the manager, and the PR people. In this documentary, you see her sister a little bit, you see her niece, you see her manager, Will, you see her PR person, Sean, and then you see some other random people, her son, her nephew, for the most part. Those are the key players, and her niece, if I didn't say that already. I'm going to start with the manager and the PR lady. All right, so I'm going to start with the PR lady first because I was not feeling her. The PR lady was truly, truly given Selena and the lady who killed Selena vibes. I feel like the PR lady was just up for a money grab, and she just slithered in there and tried to get what she can, tried to jump on the Wendy train, and did not truly have Wendy's best interest in hand. She had so many red flags. Originally, I'm thinking, okay, she's just trying to help Wendy. Wendy's kind of being mean to her. You know, Wendy was having her little outburst where she was calling her fat, telling her to go eat more food to get fat. I'm thinking, damn, this girl is taking on a whole lot to work with Wendy Williams. But as the documentary goes on, she is not as innocent as she initially came off. Her first red flag was, not in any order, but taking Wendy to to California and allowing Wendy to actually partake in a meeting with NBC in her altered state of mind. The second red flag was her all of a sudden saying that she also randomly knows about finance. So are you PR or are you finance, girl? Because it's given, PPD loan stunt is what it's giving. And then the last red flag is when she alluded to the fact that when the producer asked, would you be open to being Wendy Williams' manager? And she was like, well, I'm already like a manager already. But you're not a manager. You can't be like a manager. Either you are or you aren't. So I feel like since this documentary was filmed, I feel like she has probably been fired, allegedly, and rightfully so. I didn't get a good vibe from her. Her niece, Wendy's niece, did not have a good vibe for her. I really fuck with the niece because the niece came in and she was like, hold up, who are you? Who are these people? What's going on in my aunt's, apartment? Like, what is going on? When the niece initially met the PR lady, it really, really affected her because I feel like at that moment, she realized that there were vultures disguised as people who were here to help around her aunt. She had never met the PR lady before, and all she knew is that she knew about finances all of a sudden, and she was asleep somewhere in Wendy's house, and she was getting paid. So that was a red flag. Now, I say that I fuck with the niece. I fuck with the niece because when she came on to the documentary, she really made this documentary real for me. And I'm going to tell you why. I feel like everybody up until that point, including Wendy, looked like they were in a circus and you didn't know what was real and what wasn't real because it was just so outlandish. You have Will, you have the producers, you have Wendy Williams looking crazy. And it's like, what am I watching? But when her niece came on to the show and showed pure concern and unease with what was going on, it really put me in the state of mind of, if that was my aunt, that's probably the same reaction that I would have. She really was concerned. She really was brought to tears by what she saw. at her aunt's home and just seeing her aunt and what she was saying and these people who were taking care of her aunt. And at that moment, it really made the documentary very real for me because she was visibly upset to the point where she told the PR, Sean, get out of here. Like, I don't need to talk to my aunt in your presence, you know? So getting back to Sean, the PR lady, not feeling her, did not trust her. I felt like she was a leech. It was something off about her energy when she said that, you know, she didn't think that Wendy Williams had an alcohol problem because she could manage her alcohol. Girl, are you looking at the same Wendy Williams that we're looking at? Because you can't be. And if you're saying that, that is literally a case of you're trying not to see this because you just want to get from her what you can get from her and you do not mean her well. I just did not like her. I did not feel like she was there for good causes, and it was just a no for me. She also made the comment that, you know, she didn't know anything about Wendy Williams' medical, you know, history. She seemed like she was fine to her. And the producer literally said, you know, does Wendy Williams seem like she has an alcohol problem? Does Wendy Williams seem like she has some kind of medical or cognitive issue? And, you know, the way that Sean answered that question, it let me know all that I needed to know from her. Now, so then we had Will. So we have Will, and he is actually portraying as Wendy's manager. Now, initially, I was very much not sure about Will. I couldn't understand if he was on the side of good or on the side of bad. I feel like he really, I don't know, like, I was confused. So originally when he came on the scene, all I noticed is that he totally had on designer. He was always dressed in designer. He was dripping in jewels. He was dripping in jewelry. And so I'm thinking, where is he getting this money from? Like, what is his real job? And then I later realized that he's actually a jeweler, and that's literally how him and Wendy Williams met. So I was very much on the fence. At first, I was like, trash to Will, trash to Sean. They both are just out to get Wendy Williams and to take her money. But I don't know if Will is certified to be a manager. I truly feel like, and Wendy said this, that, you know, Will came in when Kevin left. So when Kevin left and, you know, Wendy and Kevin had a divorce, I feel like this is where Will kind of came in and took over. If you've seen her first documentary on Lifetime, and if you look at, you know, just her history and how she kind of explains her marriage to Kevin, I feel like Wendy Williams definitely needs a strong male presence in her life to help lead and to help guide her. And I feel like as soon as Kevin left, Will kind of stepped in, and she was very desperate to find someone to take over Kevin's spot. I feel like this also makes Wendy a very, very easy target for people because I feel like she is lonely, and she says it a lot throughout the documentary. And I feel like I understand that she's tall, she's a big lady, she has a very strong personality, but she is one of those people who inside is just a teddy bear, a broken person in pieces, like we all are. And she's easy prey for someone to manipulate, I think, especially in a vulnerable state. So in terms of Will, the jury's still out, but he's not as bad, and he's not giving Sean. He didn't want her to drink. He kept trying to hide alcohol from her. He was very stern with her, and I think that tends to work with Wendy. The only thing that kind of gave me a red flag when it came to Will was the fact that he said that he set up a separate account for her. And I'm thinking, okay, that could be good or that could be bad because, you know, Wendy's money was tied up through the court system, through Wells Fargo. So maybe him setting up this separate bank account was for good. I don't know, but I don't know. I was kind of still on the fence with Will. I take it that he's still her manager now, and if I had to just throw something out there, I feel like Will probably means well. So then we jump down to Wendy's nephew and Wendy's son. So in the documentary, Wendy's nephew and Wendy's son are being interviewed. Now I'm going to start with Wendy's nephew. I actually thoroughly enjoyed his interview on the documentary. I thought that he was very well spoken. I thought that he articulated his concern and the history of him and his aunt very, very well. Yeah, I felt pretty confident in what he was saying. I thought that he meant her well. I thought he was a good representation, like the niece of the family and, the family wanting to take care of her and to, have the best for Wendy. I got really good vibes from him. I got really good energy from him. And I feel like he did a really amazing job in explaining, Wendy Williams from his point of view, from his experience. I thought he did really, really well. I didn't get anything bad from him. The son, he seemed like a very much concerned son. I think he's like in his early 20s. And the only thing with the son that made me feel uneasy a tad was the fact that the son spent over $100,000 on DoorDash on Wendy's dime and also spent over $100,000 on a birthday party for himself. Originally, I was like, okay, that's crazy. Why would he do that? And it's twofold. On one hand, I know that Wendy is very much obsessed with her son. Little Kevin is her only child. She had a miscarriage and she tried so hard to have, her baby. So she's very much obsessed, rightfully so, with little Kevin. And I feel like she's the kind of parent or person in general that if she fucks with you and if you are on her team, she will give you her last. She wants to make your life comfortable and beautiful and kind of flaunt her money to anybody that she loves, like her family or close friends. And I think that on one hand, he probably, spent that money with Wendy's consent. But I feel like on the other hand, he is adult enough to understand how money works. He's adult enough, or he would have been adult enough to understand that his mom did not have a full-time job per se, and that money wasn't coming in. She was going through a divorce. She was paying his dad alimony. So money was not flowing in enough for him to spend $100,000 on DoorDash. Like, what the fuck is he ordering on DoorDash for $100,000? At that point, he might as well just have gotten a personal chef. That probably would have cost less than $100,000 in DoorDash. So those two pieces, the DoorDash and the birthday party, I didn't like. But he's a guy, and I feel like he was very much concerned with his mom and her health and her drinking, especially. But you can look at him and look at the nephew and probably assume that they probably partake in, a little bit of weed and alcohol themselves. But I did get ultimately that the nephew and the son had Wendy's best interest in hand. Now, the question came up a few times in the documentary, like, Kevin, do you feel like you should be the guardian over Wendy? And I don't think that. I really don't think that her son should be the guardian of Wendy, but I don't know which would be worse, if it would be, her state now or her state with her son, because her son clearly said that when Wendy was living with him, his mom was healthier. She wasn't drinking as much. They were very, zoned in on, her not drinking. She was going to all her doctor's appointments. She was living a healthier, happier life. And that's probably why Wendy didn't want to live with her son and, left Miami to go back to New York. I don't think that the son, would be in the best interest to be the sole caretaker for Wendy. My takeaway from the documentary is that the family as a whole, maybe the brother, maybe the sister would be in the best interest to Wendy to take over as a guardian. My only thing with that is that I literally just heard today that there was an accusation where the sister stole like $50,000 from Wendy. Don't know if that's true. Don't know the validity of that. But if that's the case, shit, I don't know. Wendy again said she had no money. And that didn't add up. Because I'm like, okay, if you don't have no money, how you getting alcohol? How you buying these vapes? She was buying alcohol consistently. So it made me think, who the hell is buying her alcohol? Because she can barely walk. She can't get anywhere by herself without her driver or the support of at least somebody. So somebody is supplying her with this alcohol. And if I had to guess, it would be Sean, the PR lady. I truly think that Sean, the PR lady, was just the devil on her shoulder, because if she can say that Wendy did not have an alcohol problem and that Wendy could handle her liquor and her alcohol when Wendy was hiding bottles of vodka, she was locking herself, in the bathroom with vodka. They were finding bottles of vodka in the freaking sheets. I mean, just any and everywhere. For her to say that, she didn't have an alcohol problem, I think that Sean was buying Wendy the alcohol. I noticed that Wendy was doing a lot of vaping, which obviously isn't good. Excuse me. Which obviously is not good. There was a scene in the documentary where, this was a very cringy scene where Wendy really wanted a certain pack of vapes, and she was literally talking so dirty to the PR lady, saying that you're just stupid, you're an idiot, do this, be back in 2 seconds, give me my blue vapes, you're an idiot. And in that particular scene, Wendy was really, really losing it because she didn't know where she was. She was giving manic episodes. She was up and down, and that was very, very sad. Now I want to jump down to Wendy's health. Wendy's feet. Wendy's feet it was a lot. It was a lot. Wendy's feet were a lot. Now, she was very gung-ho on showing those feet to anybody who would look. She showed her feet like the first 3 minutes of the documentary. She showed her feet to Black China. She showed her feet to the people at NBC. She showed her feet to any and everybody, and it looks really bad. And it made me wonder if she's saying that she has 6% feeling in her feet. How the hell is she walking? How the hell is she walking with only 6% feeling in her feet? That was really a question that I needed an answer to. Her feet look really bad. I don't know how lymphedema works. I don't know, how it's controlled, if it's reversible, what she can do to make her feet look a little bit better or to get the feeling back. Her feet was a lot. And I feel like what she did is, put her feet on the forefront, off gate, off the rip, so nobody would bring it up or ask about it or have it be an awkward moment about her feet. So I feel like she was just trying to go ahead and call the elephant in the room so nobody could out her for her feet. Her feet was really, really bad. And I said, you know what? Her feet was a cautionary tale, child. Cause I'm like, you know what? If this is what alcohol drinking look like, child, I don't want it. Now, again, I'm certain that is based on her doing heavy drugs, heavy drinking, and even her dementia is alcohol derived. Like, I feel like her dementia was onset by so much alcohol drinking. So her feet were a lot. And I brought up Black China. So Black China even caressed her foot. And I was like, that is a friend, honey. That is love, because I don't know if I would touch that foot. Child. Now, Black China came and visited her. And when I tell you, that was such a beautiful, beautiful display of just so many things. It was a display of true friendship, true friendship to Wendy. It was a display of true vulnerability from Wendy to Black China. It was a display of growth from Black China. And just truly, I kept asking myself, when Wendy would say that she was lonely and that how she just wanted someone to be in the home. Where are all her friends? Where are all these celebrity people like Nene and Marlo and all these people who was around when she was on the show? Like, where are they at? Because she kept saying that she was very much lonely and she wanted the people to film the documentary because she liked having people in the house. And that shit was just fucked up. It was just so sad to see. Black China came, she visited her. She was so beautiful inside and out. Wendy was so happy to see her. They talked. Black China let her know that, she would be there for Wendy. Wendy showed Black China her real hair, which was really interesting to see. Another point about her hair. One of the reasons why I think that this is a setup to like a podcast launch or some type of launch is because if you pay attention to the first 30 minutes of the podcast, I feel like the first part of the podcast is Wendy post the facility, like post the treatment center. And she just came back to kind of fill in the beginning because they asked her, what did she hate about what she was looking at? And she was like, the wigs. And she said something else that made me feel like she was looking at the documentary in like past tense. Like the documentary had already been filmed and she was just coming in doing some filming. You know what I'm saying? She was talking about how she just hated her wigs. And I assumed it was in the videos, aka the documentary. But anyway, Blac Chyna came. It was a very beautiful moment. It just really made me have even that much more respect for Blac Chyna. And it also made me just salute her growth. Now, one thing that this documentary really put on the forefront was Wendy's desperation to be on TV, to be seen, to be amongst celebrities, and just to be in the limelight. So many times through the show, or through the documentary, Wendy was basically saying, she just wants to be back on TV. And I feel like that was where Sean, the PR lady, got her. Because obviously Sean would want her to be back on TV. She would want to be in that manager position or some position so she can get monetary gain from Wendy's comeback. And I feel like she knew that being back on TV and being back to her normal self is what Wendy desired the most. And so I felt like Sean used that to sneak up and slither in Wendy's good side. Now, Wendy did have that meeting at NBC and that was very sad. That was very, very sad. And Sean was wrong for that. And if karma is a thing, and I know it is, Sean is going to pay for that because Sean should not have taken that lady to NBC to have no meetings. She should not have presented it to Wendy or NBC as though Wendy was in the right mind to be on TV or to even have a meeting. And she was really, really wrong for that. I didn't like that. I did not like that. And if that didn't seal the deal for me as it relates to Sean, I don't know what did. Sean, you are wrong for that. And it was very sad because Wendy was thinking that, first of all, when she flew to California, she didn't even know where she was at certain times. Sean is seeing that, but she still ain't thinking something wrong. She allowed Wendy to have a drink or two. You know what I'm saying? She was really, really trying to slither her way into, Wendy Williams' grace. And I did not like that. The niece. So I spoke a little bit earlier about Wendy's niece, and I truly love the niece. I thought the niece, the nephew were just great representation of the family. The niece actually, before I go there, the Oscar. Sean had so many red flags and dings against her. I don't even know. For Sean to even allude to the fact that Wendy was in a good space to walk a red carpet and go to the Oscars. Like, I feel like I have named at least 5 red flags that Sean represented and showed us. Wendy did not even know what the damn Oscars was. She didn't even know what the Oscars was. Sean asked her if she wanted to go to the Oscars, and she was like, who is that? Where is that? Yeah, I want to go. And she didn't even know what it was. But here goes Sean. Okay, yeah, Oscar is an award show. We'll have to go shopping and get you a dress and blah, 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 blah. How the hell could you think this lady is equipped enough to go to the damn Oscars and walk a red carpet and be in front of cameras taking interviews? You are going to pay, Sean. You're going to pay for that. Because you know damn well that lady was not in a mindset to damn walk a red carpet. And that pissed me off. That truly pissed me off. And I see why the niece gathered you the way she did and told you to get out her face, because she did not need you to talk with her aunt. So yeah, Sean was an enabler. I love the niece. The people around her saying that they had not been in contact with her doctors or knew really what medically was going on with Wendy, to me, was a very much red flag. I feel like if you're around anybody that you know and they're having issues remembering, they're having manic outbursts, they're angry, they're up, they're down, they don't know where they are. To me, the very first thing that you would want to do is be like, okay, what's going on medically? And if something's going on medically, let's identify it and let's make sure that we are helping her get the help, the medical help she needs. So for them to continually say that they didn't really know what was going on, and by them, I'm meaning the people who are around her, the producers even asked, do y'all even know what's going on with her medically? Have y'all talked to her doctors? And they was like, no. So I'm like, okay, something is not right. Something is not right. There was a scene in parts in the documentary when Wendy was around her dad, around her brother. And what was scary about her being around her dad was they look damn near the same age. Her dad is like 90 something. And I don't think Wendy looks 90, but Wendy looked way older than 60 years old. Like I have friends that are damn near, 60 years old, and they don't look like that. They look like they about in their 20s or 30s, or not 20s, but 30s or 40s. So Wendy, the alcohol, the drugs, the stress of her divorce, it all has taken a toll on her physically and mentally. I loved her with her family. I could tell that she felt at peace with her family. Seeing her reminisce about her mom. I think that Wendy had a triple whammer, if that's even a word. Her mom passing, her divorce, and COVID, I believe, all of those things happening was just dagger. If I had to say what the onset, in my opinion, was of her and her downfall, I really feel like it started with her divorce. Wendy was very codependent on her husband, and Wendy knew even before the divorce, even before the, illegitimate child came into play, that he was cheating on her, and she seemed to be fine with that. Wendy only had an issue that he was dumb enough to get somebody pregnant, who now he's not even with this lady, and she's taking him out for child support. So Wendy knew darn well that he was a cheater, that he was cheating. He cheated on her throughout her pregnancy, throughout the most of their marriage, and she knew that. But I feel like the stability that he gave and the protection that he gave Wendy was more valuable to her than him being faithful. And once he was out the picture, it opened the door for these outsiders to come in and take over. It destroyed her, and any type of structure that she had in her life and her lifestyle, I think at that point diminished. And then to put her mom passing away on top of that, it was a horrible, horrible, horrible storm. I put in my notes that I would compare Wendy Williams to dealing with someone that has extreme mental health issues. And I say that because it was so many scenes in the documentary where people were trying to talk to her and rationalize with her as if she was a normally functioning, normally thinking person. And it was like stuff was going in one ear and out the other, and her responses weren't matching the situation. Her responses weren't matching the questions. She was just all over the place. And it really reminded me, because I feel like they were A lot of times they were trying to talk to her and make sense, and get her to make sense and have a normal conversation with Wendy. But it wasn't going to be a normal conversation with Wendy because she's dealing with dementia and other issues. And she's, she was drunk a lot of the time in the documentary, it seemed. So them trying to have a normal conversation with her was not going to work. It was not going to work. Again, I said that she was very lonely, and that shit made me so upset, man. Seeing her, having her say with her chest that she was lonely. She literally wanted the people to be at her home to film this embarrassing documentary because she was lonely. And just the mere act of having people in the house served a greater purpose for her because she was so lonely. And she was saying that nobody came around. Nobody came around. She was very lonely, and it was just her and her cats, child. And her cats was in there vomiting, being dirty, being a mess. I cannot stand cats. Oh, they're so filthy. And it was just her in that bed, sleeping, the girl with them legs and them feet and them eyes. It was a lot. It was a whole lot. It was a lot. And it was very, very sad, really, really sad to see. Ultimately, I just couldn't believe throughout the whole entire documentary that they filmed it. I thought it put her in a bad light, but I will say, ultimately, I felt like this is going to be a setup. I really feel, and maybe this is just wishful thinking, but I truly feel like based off the last 30 minutes of the entire documentary, the last 30 minutes of episode 4, something makes me feel like this is a strategic move on Wendy's part, and that she has shown herself looking crazy in these bad wigs and these crazy eyes and these messed up feet and these, just child can go on. She is doing that strategically. She is showing herself at her worst, so it has a bigger impact when she rebrands and comes back out as a more whole and healthy Wendy. You have to understand that this documentary was filmed over a year ago. And at the end of the documentary, she had been in the rehabilitation center for at least 7 months at that point, and she was still in the rehab center. And the sister clearly said at the very end, she felt like she was talking to the old Wendy. And Wendy sounded very clear. She sounded very, like, that was the only part in the very beginning that I think was filmed, in the past. I believe that those parts was the new Wendy, was the healed Wendy, was the alcohol-free Wendy, was the drug-free Wendy, was the Wendy that has been in this rehab center for over 7 months, damn near a year. And I feel like she's going to come back on our ass. I think in closing, I feel like, it really shed a light on our court system and this whole guardian situation. Before today, I thought that, okay, give her to the family, which is horrible. She's an adult, give her to the family. I hate that the court system has that much power that they can put a stranger in charge of your finances, of your life, if you go and if you come. That was crazy to me. And Wendy said in the very beginning, girl, if it could happen to me, it could happen to you. Today I was actually looking at some of the old Wendy Williams interviews and like some of just the old Wendy Williams in general, girl. And it was just so like nostalgic and just like, I'm just very optimistic that she's going to come out on the other side of this. Actually, I'm praying that she comes out on the other side of this whole, healthy, and making her bag in a new space. Not Wendy Williams show for her husband to take her ex-husband to take her money. I want her to come out of this whole and healed, and she don't need Big Kevin. She don't need no guardian over her money. I need her to come out of this winning. And I really feel like she's going to do so. All right, guys, let me know what you think of the Wendy Williams Where is Wendy documentary. Did you like it? Did you agree with me that this was a setup and a scheme that Todd set up to come to us with the bullshit? Do you feel like this was 100% bad look and it's going to end horribly for Wendy? What were your thoughts on this documentary, guys? Listen, I enjoyed it. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and come on back for the next episode, guys.